Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Toby Eunice with the Gypsy Kiss. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have a really good panel tonight. As you can see, our panelists on the screen in front of you, and our guest is Odious Soul, Shannon Utz, and I'll tell you a little bit more about her in just a few minutes. And also, our conversation tonight is around and about what else could Fenn have put in the chest. So stick with us. Wow, I'm just happy that I survived that part, actually. Like I said, we're glad you could join us tonight. We're going to go for about an hour tonight, and we're going to introduce you to our the latest member of our panel. And I think she has a lot to talk about. She's she's put up her own YouTube channel. She has a website, and she's talked a lot about herself. And we're going to have her talk. We're going to have her tonight. We're going to have her talk about more about herself. But first, let me introduce the other members of the panel, starting with my partner on Gypsy Kiss, Shelley Carney.
Well, hello and good evening. So wonderful to be here this evening. Once again, I'm the producer for this evening's show for Gypsy's Kiss, and I also have my own YouTube channel called The Softer Side, and I've just put that in the chat with the link. So please go ahead and check that out sometime and subscribe when you get a chance. Thank you.
And Mike, let's go to you and not only introduce yourself, why don't you update us on the coin situation?
Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Cowling. I have a YouTube channel under Cow Lasers, if everybody can see that. And also recently unveiled is cowlasers.com. So it's a new website you can check out. The Forrest Fenn Searcher coin, you can purchase that on cowlasers.com. That's the only place where you can buy it now. And it's been a lot of fun. There's been a lot of pre-orders. Breaking news, I guess, is I think I'm going to get the coins earlier than I thought. I should have the coins by the middle of next week, I hope. So there'll definitely be a vlog when I get the box in. I'll show everybody what they look like, and I just hope those coins are in order when I get them. And yeah, so subscribe to Cow Lasers on YouTube, and you will have all the details on the Forrest Fenn Searcher coin.
How big was your first order?
The first order was 300, but I had to increase to 600 because of demand. So I am getting a box with 600 coins in it in the mail.
And how many of those have already been spoken for?
We are up to about 540 pre-orders already.
Who made, what was your biggest single order?
There is one person who ordered 25.
Wow.
That's been the biggest order.
Very nice. Going to distribute those. I want our viewers to know that Shelley and I ordered 10 of them, and we're going to be distributing them. We're going to share them with our moderators and with our team. And then I think we figured out we have 2 or 3 left over, and we'll give those away on later shows. So make sure you join us for that. And then Sean Dodson.
Hey everybody, Sean Dotson, also known as Sean New Mexico on the forums. And you can also find me on the Flip Side, my YouTube channel.
And tell us about your new show or your new program.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, if you don't know already, I started what I like to call the weekend update of the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. And I just thought, you know, throughout the week, I'm always watching the forums or watching YouTube channels and what's going on in the community. And I just figured, well, I'm already doing that. I might as well put out a video that kind of recaps what's happened over the week for those that may not have the time to kind of catch up on things. So it's kind of gone over pretty good, and it's a little fun. So
yeah, it is a lot of fun. I like watching it. You know, I should advise you. There's always times where I want to comment on your guys' channel, but unfortunately, I have some trolls that follow me around, and since they can't comment on my channel, they use my comments on somebody else's channel to troll me. So
well,
I want you to know
you can't get on mine.
Oh, thanks. Nice.
Blocked.
Yeah. Jason, you watched my video. That's why. Jason Michael.
Hi, I'm Jason Eunice. I'm Toby's son and part of the team for our search. And I go by Jason.
That's Good.
Creative.
He is a very talented young man. He is a very talented young man. So let me, before I introduce our guest tonight, let me show you. I've got a giveaway for you guys. This is another one of my daughter's laser cuts from her original artwork. This is the one that I told you is the Billy the Kid one, and I'll have a trivia question for you at the end of tonight's show that you'll have to fill in. And also, I'm giving away another one of Jason's ornaments, excuse me. And I figured it was appropriate this evening to have a little horse Christmas ornament to go along with a Billy the Kid themed laser. And then I want you to remember that on tomorrow's show, the book club for tomorrow's show, I'll be giving away a copy of one of my Aunt Lucy's New Mexican cookbooks, along with this decorative spatula with San Pascual on it, and the saying in Spanish, "En esta cocina yo mando," which is, "In this kitchen I'm in charge." Which is what my mother used to remind me. That screaming in the background is Shelley's cat. No, he's not screaming. Okay, he's not screaming.
Meow. He's saying hi.
Oh, okay, all right. He wants to be part of the show. All right, so let me introduce our guest tonight. Her name is Shannon Utz. She goes by the moniker of Odious Soul, and she just recently put up a video describing how she acquired that name. But I'm going to have her I'm going to ask her to give a brief version of that. And she also, did I say she has a website and a YouTube channel? Both named Odious Soul. She has around 6 or 7 videos on her YouTube channel. She's growing pretty quickly. It's been up for probably 2 or 3 weeks. And she seems to me as a thoughtful person, and she expresses that in her YouTube videos. So I'm going to strongly recommend that if you haven't seen her videos on YouTube already, please go to Odious Soul and subscribe to her so she can start building up her subscriber base. I think you'll find it informative. Okay, so enough of an introduction. Shannon Utz, welcome to our panel tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. And yes, I am the Odious Soul on YouTube. My website is odioussoul.com. Honestly, I don't do too much with my website. You'll see a couple of photography sessions that I've done for other people, and I started tracking just my Forrest Fenn search history and my videos when I've been posting them, just to kind of start logging the actual trend here. But I do have a social page on there, so you can go and you can see where you can stalk me on all my social media. Most of them, like Snapchat, Instagram, it's all under Odious Soul. I kind of tried to coin that. But Odious Soul, I posted a video last night, and I drank a margarita because I'm working. I'm traveling for work, so I did have a margarita before I did that video, and I was like, man, I watched that video today, and I was like, man, you can definitely tell I had a beverage before that video.
You were really.
But I've always loved words, and that word odious just kind of stuck with me. It's a beautiful looking word and sounding word, but it has this horrible meaning.
Definition, yeah.
And Lord knows I've gone through some stages in my life where maybe I wasn't the most positive, person with the best outlook. And I definitely have grown and changed, but that Odious Soul I think I keep it just to remind me, to work every single day to be a better person. So
I noticed that in your on your blog, on your website, you had a number of personal stories, what I would refer to as personal stories. So it struck me that you're okay with being vulnerable and letting yourself express yourself in a way that may not be comfortable for other people, but you seem to be comfortable with it. So what is it in your life that has given you that confidence?
Just a lot of training, a lot of just. And, I have gone through a lot of interesting things in my past, to say the least. And I think you have, when you do something bad or you go through something really tough and hard, you have to learn to take that experience and grow from it, instead of having it hold you down and use it as an excuse of why you can't do something, or why the world did this to me, now I can't succeed. And I've really had to use that and believe that everything I've gone through will only help me move farther and, further because of it. When you experience something that kind of just hits you like a brick wall, you know, it's a temporary wall. And if you use that, it can actually help push you forward. And then the next time a brick wall comes at you, it's a lot easier to get up and over it. So my past is an open book. You know, unlike politicians, my past is right there. I will not, you know, pretend like something didn't happen. It's like my past happened. And because of my past, I am who I am. You know, I've worked my way up in my current job, you know, and, you know, I've overcome challenges there. And same thing with life. You know, I became a mom at an early age, and, you know, it's like, I'm not quite 40 yet, but, you know, I feel like an old lady sometimes with everything I've gone through already.
Well,
so.
Best times are ahead of you.
I can't wait. I can't wait to kids are over 18 and
so let me ask one more question before I turn it over to the panel, and that is, we all have the equivalent of a Fenn origin story. So what is it about this treasure hunt that inspired you to start pursuing it?
My now fiance, he was my boyfriend at the time. We were watching a YouTube, I think actually it was an Unsolved Mysteries on Trabuca's gold, 16 tons of gold in the New Mexican desert. And I'm like rolling my eyes at him, you know, whatever. And 2 days later, he comes home with his YouTube channel about 10 treasures still out there to be found. And the Forrest Fenn was one of them. And I thought, I kind of vaguely remembered hearing about him on the Today Show a few years ago and everything. And it's like, you know what? I'm kind of smart and I'm a heavy Googler. I can figure out anything. Like I can totally do this. And that's what sucked me in, you know, from the first Google of warm waters in the Rocky Mountains, I was doomed from there. So here we are today.
Well, so I promise to open it up to the panel, but I do have one more question. How do you get from being a Fenn treasure hunter, which sounds perfectly rational to me? We all have that kind of experience where we have that moment of inspiration that says, I want to be a part of this. How do you go from there to saying, I need to start expressing myself on camera and onto a YouTube channel? What happened there? How did that happen?
Well, first step, I'm a total ham. Second thing was, I didn't really talk to anybody except from like my family and maybe close friends about the search beforehand. I kind of stayed off of Facebook and the forums just because I didn't want anything polluting my mind. And then I eventually got on the Facebook groups, but still wasn't talking about it too much. So it was more of, I just had to unleash all this knowledge. I had to converse with people. I had to be a part of this community because there was so much in my head that I just had to get out. And there's still, like, I got a notebook of different videos I want to do and different things I found. Like, I can't wait to get them all out. I don't have enough time to do them as fast as I want to. But yeah, it's just that it's like, okay, the first time searcher syndrome is over. I know I didn't find the treasure. You know, even if somebody goes, if I actually knew where it was and I missed it, if somebody goes back there, the chances of them finding it are still so slim to none. You know, let's just put it all out there. Let's talk about it.
Good. Mike Howling, go ahead.
So I have a question for you, Shannon, that every YouTuber has got to ask themselves at some point. If you found the treasure, would you make a video on it saying that you found it, or would you remain anonymous?
I think it would be too determined, and I think it depends on what that extra thing that Fenn put in the treasure chest is that we'll be talking about later. I think it really depends on what that is. I know I have my hopes of what it is, but I definitely wouldn't do a video right then. I actually did a lot of pre-videos to the search, and I was maybe a little egotistical in them, thinking like leading up to maybe doing like a movie. I know my fiance was talking about maybe we can get a TV show and go find other treasures too. So there was a lot of hope. And if I end up finding the treasure, I think it's a matter of working with an attorney and a PR person to figure out how to best capitalize on the entire endeavor, honestly.
Jason?
First off, I'm enjoying watching your content. I think it's really incredible of you to be so open, because I think you bring a unique perspective in that you can see you're fresh to it. You know, that it's still just in your blood and exciting, and you're still just looking at those first ideas and first clues, but so many others are in that place or are going to be in that place. And so I think it's really valuable content. I also find it really interesting what you were able to share. You taught me a lot, actually, that I didn't know. For example, about the Dude Motel and the whole story with Ronald Reagan and everything. that was a really interesting story, and I had no idea until I watched your video. So I appreciate your content.
Well, thank you very much.
And have you got a question, or did you get that out of your system?
Yeah. Yeah, but I was going to ask, what are your thoughts on, a lot of people have talked about whether they think the treasure's related to a river, wet, dry, or under the ground. I know that one of the ideas is buried in a pit, similar to what was used in the Pueblos. And if you're willing to share, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the poem, honestly, in my opinion, and when I dissected the poem, I felt that the poem took you down on a river. Like, it felt like the poem took you down like the path of a river. Like, you were stopping on different points of a river. If you watched my first video, you can kind of see how I did that down the Madison. But I just really feel like you're going downstream. Like, that's just kind of how I felt like the poem flowed, and with him being such a fisherman. But when I was boots on the ground, like, the thing is like, crap, it's like, where exactly is this treasure? Like, how do you know where it is? Is it buried? Could it be in one of those holes like he found in the Pueblo? I'm definitely considering that, because, it's so hard to think about where he might have put it. So anything's possible, honestly, anything's possible. And, we definitely looked for a lot of flat rocks while we were out there to see if we could turn them over. That was for sure.
We do the same with logs. We seem to turn over a lot of logs.
Dad, quick question for you.
Yeah.
So regarding that, just from a technical point of view, if the treasure was possibly under one of those flat rocks, like what we see around here for landscape, would you be able to detect that? Would you be able to detect through that?
You mean with the thermal camera?
No, with just a standard metal detector.
Yeah. It is possible, yeah, because a rock has a certain amount of density. But Fenn has said more than once that if you're close enough to detect it with a metal detector, you're on top of it anyway. It's not like you're going to swing a metal detector in that direction. So,
yeah.
Is this my interview or yours? What's going on here? Sean Dodson.
Shannon, great to meet you. I love your videos. And I really enjoyed the first video I saw of yours is when you had came back from your search and you kind of talked about everything in your search. So I saw that one first and went back and watched the rest. But you articulate yourself very well. I'm envious of that. I cannot put myself out there and talk as well as you. So there's many people out there on YouTube that articulate themselves very well, and you are definitely one of those. But my question really is, how I'm a poem purist, and I'm sure you understand what that means. How do you view, as far as importance versus poem, clues versus the hints in the book? You've done very well as going over the book and talking about things in the book, but how do you place the emphasis on poem versus book?
Well, first off, I'm just saying I'm envious of all your beautiful scenery and places that you do in your videos. Like, I'm just like awestruck sometimes. I'm like, oh man, I want to be there.
There's a highway right next to where I do most of those.
Yeah, I live in Maryland. We don't have pretty places like that. Let me tell you.
Oh, you do too. I've been plenty of history out there.
Okay, not as cool. I guess because I see it every day, it's not as awesome. But I mean, I would say I'm more of a Fenn purist. I try to believe that the poem is going to lead us there. I don't think that we have to worry about all this math and numbers and some of the craziness that I hear out there. Like, I'm just like, Forrest even said to simplify it. But I do believe that there are hints in the book. And I believe that you have to know the man. Like, you really have to know who Fenn is and see how he thinks and how he feels. Like, when you see him speak, you can see the things. You can feel when he gets passionate about something. Yep. And I think it's really about knowing who he is. And I think from knowing who he is, then you can identify what some of the hints are, and that'll help you with the clues in the poem. But I really think it's about, being a Fenn purist, like, just listening to him, listen to his stories, figure out his passions. And then from there, you'll be able to find the answers to the clues.
Great answer.
Shelley Carney, have you got a question from the audience?
Yes. First off, I wanted to say our moderators in the room tonight, besides Jason, of course, is Jimmy Fast and Joel Lewicki.
Thank you, gentlemen,
for being here. First question is for Shannon. What do you think of the words warm waters halt? From Andrew West.
That's definitely something that I analyzed over and over and over again. My first conclusion from Googling and then also from figuring out more about Fenn was kind of where the Gibbons and the Firehole came together to, Madison Junction to create the Madison River. It was waters, it's two different waterways, so it's plural. And they both halt, but they don't actually stop, they just turn into something else. So that was my interpretation. Since I didn't find the treasure where I went to look for it, I'm definitely still kind of really open to any of the warm waters that come out of Yellowstone. It's a geothermal area, so there's lots of warmer waters technically. I'm not so thrilled on hot springs so much, but that's just my opinion, and Lord knows we all have them. So
you've had at least a couple, as I understand it, years worth of research. You've had your first boots on the ground. You seem to have had the time necessary to consider, to evaluate the intelligence that you collected while you were in boots on the ground, and recalculate or recalibrate what you're going to do next. So the question is, what's your next search going to be? Where's your next search going to be?
I still don't have a next search. I truly believe that you can get super close to that treasure just from being at home, armchairing it, trying to figure it out. I personally don't feel you have to be boots on the ground to get close to the end of the poem. My big thing is, I think I got caught up with that, Braven in the Wood part, and I have to figure out what that is before I'm willing to spend the money to go back out there and search again. So that's kind of where I'm looking right now. What could Braven in the Wood mean? Because I feel like when we were there, it was like, I felt like we were so close that we could taste it, but what did Brave in the Wood? What am I missing?
What are the chances that you're going to get back another time this search season?
It all depends on how well my research goes.
Yeah. And how much does your fiance help you with the research part?
Since we came back, he kind of wants something to do with the treasure. He's like, we didn't find it. We tried. He's kind of done with it. So yeah, it's just me now. That's
the hardest part. I think everybody going out boots on the ground, sooner or later you come back with whatever level of discouragement ends up, putting you out of the search. So you only hope. I seem to have done a lot of correcting that. I come back, feel terrible for about 3 days.
Shannon's well equipped to pick herself up and dust herself off.
Apparently,
she's made that apparent to us. So.
Yeah. I mean, worst case. Yeah, worst case, he has agreed that he'll go back in 10 years for our anniversary because that's where we got engaged at. So, but that's all he's like. We'll go back for just for
10 years. A lot of other things to do in between. Mike Colling, let's go back to you.
Have you communicated with Forrest at all? Have you sent him any of your YouTube videos or told him you were going to Yellowstone? Has he had any advice?
Let's see here. I sent him an email, I guess, once I got my first saw back in December, and I had said something in the, I didn't give him specifics of where I was going. I told him that I had watched a historical video and I was pretty sure I knew where it was, like every first searcher thinks they do. And I told him that I would give him back his bracelet if he would tell me why it was his special place. And he responded, then it wouldn't be a secret anymore. Sorry, Shannon. So that was the first one. I had emailed him and asked him where Highway Hole was, which is a picture from the Thrill of the Chase book, because I didn't know where Highway Hole was. My research I couldn't come up with it. And he responded, told me it was on the Madison River in Yellowstone. And then I sent him a bunch of emails and he never responded to probably like 10. And then I think it was Troy Barlow finally was like, he really enjoys it. You should send him, your links. So I did. And I think it was after the first 4. And he actually replied, nice videos. Thank you. And nice and short and sweet, like Forrest normally does.
Yeah. Well, good. That's actually a good sign. Jason Michael?
Yes.
Did you have a question for Shannon?
I was going to talk about the main topic. Is that part of it, or
no? We're not going to go to the main topic yet for a couple of 5 more minutes or so, and then we'll go on then.
Oh, okay.
I can go back to Shelley. She's got a question for me.
Sounds good.
Shelley Carney?
Yes, we have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. I couldn't remember if I muted myself. From Chris Thor for Shannon. What do you think of Forrest's comment about his gut feeling that it could be found this year?
Well, I was really hoping it was going to be me. Let me tell you. One of the things I actually thought was there's been a lot of media attention, him popping up in a lot of magazines. And I actually questioned if it hadn't maybe already been found, but he promised not to tell anybody until they were ready to release it publicly. So that was kind of in the back of my head, and it's still kind of there just because of how much media attention it's been since, I guess, January. Mm-hmm. So I still think that, but maybe it's because he knows Cynthia has moved to Montana searching. Maybe somebody's given him an exact answer. I don't know, but I really hope it is found this summer because I really want to know where it is.
So
I think.
Well, let me ask just a little bit about what you said. So, I just want to understand. In your opinion, you think there is a possibility that it may have been found, and that Fenn is aware that it has been found, but the finder has asked him to hold off announcing it? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, I mean that thought has definitely crossed my mind. Seeing some of a lot of the articles coming out, there's been a lot of stuff happening lately with the media, and I've just that thought's just in the back of my head. I can't say that it's like a gut feeling or anything, but that thought has been out. Like, what would be the benefits of somebody wanting to hold off when announcing it?
Interesting. Sean Dodson.
As far as the question?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Shannon, what's your plans in the future for your channel? What do you have some topics that you really want to talk about that's really been kind of on the tip of your tongue, or what's your plans?
Want me to pull out the list?
Yes.
No, I have all kinds of things. Just different challenges of boots on the ground. Why I'm putting all this out here, I think that would make a good video. I want to connect the poem with real places. I want to help a new searcher kind of figure out, like, once you figure out warm waters, how do you go from there, like on a map or Google Earth. I would love to show people how to Google better. I'm really good at Googling. You can ask my fiance. I found so much stuff on him when I met him. Also different techniques. Different techniques
about for the CIA, huh?
Yeah.
There are ways to find out who owns properties and to see different property maps. Montana actually has a great website for that, where you can easily just click on it, see who the owners are. And I was amazed at how many trust and LLCs own property in Montana. Mm-hmm. It was crazy, so then you're Googling to find out, could Forrest have a piece of this too? Right. So, but yeah, I have literally, I just keep writing down ideas, and then I just kind of fill in those pages of what to talk about during that video. So,
and if I could have a follow-up question,
go ahead. Absolutely.
Have there been any other solves that you have seen, on the interweb that are similar to yours that you've kind of taken notice of?
Actually, today on Facebook, somebody posted looking between the grizzly bear's statue's legs. There's like a log in front of this grizzly bear that's outside of the Grizzly Center in West Yellowstone. And I was like, if it's in there, I would literally kick myself, because it's simple. A kid would probably want to climb on that statue and take a picture. And, Forrest said a kid might have a better chance of finding it. So, yeah, I mean, nothing's really stood out. I usually pick apart every little single thing of everybody's solved just to see something that doesn't click. I know a lot of people like to go up in the Beaver Creek area, and, I definitely have my reasons why I don't believe it's there. But I haven't seen anything that's really like, wow, that scares me. I want to go check it out first,
Shelley Carney, do you have a question for Shannon?
It's more of a statement, and it's somebody's offering about what they think might be additional in the treasure chest. So do you want to move ahead to that first?
Not quite yet. Let me, I just wanted to make sure there were no more questions for Shannon. So,
not for Shannon.
Okay. I would, Shelley, I'm going to, let me take a quick break here, and I'm going to pass it back to you and just take a couple of minutes to go through say hi to everybody in the room, because we haven't done that on these shows, and I kind of miss it. So, but Shannon, one last question for you before I turn this over to Shelley, and that is, tell us what your plans are for your YouTube channel. I know you've got a lot of other things that you want to do. What's it going to be? What's your mission with this YouTube channel?
This YouTube channel is just going to be just like me, ever evolving. I do believe everything happens for a reason, and as opportunities present themselves, you know, I will definitely grab a hold of them. Right now, I'm going to stay focused on the Forrest Fenn treasure, and if something else, you know, kind of touches my heart, then I will reach out with that as well. So no real direction. We'll see how it goes. We'll see where it goes, and we'll see what the people like, because after all, they're the ones watching.
Oh, well, good. I actually like that kind of openness, because there's so many ways that it could change in the meantime, that you don't want to get stuck, you know, in one style or one template right now. Just let it evolve. The viewers will tell you what they want out of it. Okay, so the other panel members, everybody, I want you to start thinking about what else Fenn could have put in the chest. I'm going to just give Shelley a couple of minutes to say hi to our viewers in the room.
All right. Well, let's start off with Jimmy Faust, Dave Erickson, William Ortiz from Tampa, Florida, X Sarbin from Nebraska, Craig Carter from Colorado, JL, Man in the Barn, David Dow from Seattle, JM Calhoun from Vegas, Chris Thor from K-Pro is here, Holy Schmoly, Jim Black from British Columbia, Journeyman from Missouri, Mary Green is here, and J.M. Calhoun wants to let us know that just got back from Wyoming area. Rivers are running very high. Please stay out. Do not cross. Also, a lot of grizz in Yellowstone sighted. Carry bear spray. So a good reminder for anybody going to the Yellowstone area. Calvin Davis is anxiously awaiting coins. Let's see. Cody Bear is here from Colorado Springs.
May I say something? I'm sorry. I only want to say, yesterday, in yesterday's show, I made some comments about bears, and they were very much oriented towards my perspective of bears. And Cody followed up with a comment and mentioned that he has conducted research with bears and corrected a couple of my assumptions, I guess. And I have invited Cody to join us on a future show, not next week because we're going to show pictures next week, but maybe the week after that. And we're going to have a big conversation about bears, and he's agreed to share his research and experience with bears. So that will help us all should we find ourselves in bear country. So Cody, thank you very much for agreeing to do that. We look forward to that show.
Yes, and maybe some of his bear fans will tune in.
Love bears.
I love bears. I love bears.
We also want to say hi to Samuel Smith from the Tennessee Mountains, Jeff Mann, and Chris Thor is telling Sean, weekend update is great. Let's see, B. Cross is here from Texas,
Bill.
Fenn Treasure Hunter, DeCall Thomas is here, Calvin Davis, Michael O'Connell from Boston, Mary Green is here. TR7 from Alexandria, Virginia.
Somebody's got a Triumph.
Yeah.
There it is.
Beard Black from Buzzard's Breath, New Mexico. Haven't heard of that one.
I think that's a made-up city.
Oh, okay. Gary Sandberg from Seattle. Denise Bagley is here. Andrew West. And...
Well, I'm glad to see them all in. Did I see that Cindy Guess said that she had received her gift?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I hope you like it, Cindy. And Joel Lewicki, your package went in the mail today. You should get a notice from the USPS. So good. All right, let's make the transition. So there had been some conversation recently about the additional contents in the chest. What else is in there? We know that there have been several occasions where Fenn, in various interviews and other conversations, has mentioned things, right? So in the interview with On the Road with Charlie, he said he had considered or he thought about putting out a check for $100,000, then changed his mind, and then at some point before that he had mentioned it again. So. You know, we had Troy Barlow on a couple of weeks ago, and he thought that you'd open up that chest and what you're going to find was some sort of proxy document giving you instructions on how to, you know, eventually get to the Marvel Gaze and look at all that treasure. So what I wanted to talk about tonight, and I want the room to ask the questions and maybe include themselves in the conversation. The question I have for the panel, and we're going to start with you, Mike, is what else do you imagine Fenn could have put in that chest? And does it get you closer to finding it? Whatever he put in it, how does it help you? Or is it just something, you know, he said it was atrocious. What he did was atrocious. So is it going to be helpful, what he put in the chest, if he put anything? Or is it just in the category of, oh, he's making our lives harder? Mike, what do you think?
Well, Title to the Gold is very interesting. It makes you think that there's something in there that gives you ownership of what you're finding. But I don't see how a title can last 100 years or even 1,000 years.
Something paper, you mean?
Yeah, paper, right.
Yeah.
Something written on. And what could be still in place, 200 years from now, if nobody finds it till then. So I think that would be kind of hard. Like, he took out the IOU, he took out paper money because it's not going to last, right? So to me, I think it's something that has to have inherent value, like gold, or possibly something that he's excavated, possibly something that he's found that's very valuable. And I think that's what he put in the chest. I don't think it helps us find it in any way. But I personally think it might be something that's more valuable than everything else that's in the chest.
Oh, interesting.
Just my own idea.
You mean from an archaeological perspective in terms of value?
Right. Something that it has value and it's going to hold for the next 100 years. I don't think it's anything that's going to decrease in value.
Jason, what do you think?
Well, a couple things. One thing that it's clear that he has a lot of stories, and a lot of great stories, and he enjoys sharing them. And we've had a few great artists pass away in the last few years, and almost all of them had kind of a secret vault of some incredible content that the public never saw. And I think it'd be interesting and fun if Fenn had a few surprises in the way of additional stories or content information. And we know that he has at least a copy of some stuff in there. So hopefully it would be in a way where it would be preserved for time. The other thing that occurred to me that I thought would be kind of cool is, thinking back to like the Sumerian tablets and things that have lasted that kind of time. If you look at his skills with bronze work, it would be kind of neat if he did something in bronze, even something on the level of a tablet or something like that. It wouldn't have to be huge, but and then of course frogs. I would not be surprised at all to find a few random
more frogs
in there. Yeah.
Why did it have to be frogs?
Well,
no, I'm just kidding. I don't have anything against frogs.
Don't start that. You're gonna get all the
no. It's if there's any frog lovers out there, I have nothing against frogs. I love frogs. Okay, Shannon.
Especially their legs.
Shannon, what do you think?
Honestly, I think that it might be something as simple as he put the autobiography in an olive jar, so he could easily have put something else in another piece of glass. But I imagine kind of like Wizard of Oz style with like the Munchkins, where you roll out this scroll thing and it's like, it literally says, Title to the Gold, now it goes to Shannon Utz or something,
I really liked your videos.
So it might be something as simple as literally giving you title to the gold, some kind of legal document giving you title. What I kind of hope it is I hope it's actually some kind of legal document that gives you access or tells you how to get a hold of a trust, where a trust is formed, that the treasurer was actually put in the trust. So that way legal issues are not even in question. The treasurer, then you go to an attorney or some kind of legal entity, you are now, the benefactor of the trust. And then hopefully that trust also contains enough money, through interest that you can also pay the taxes on the chest. I mean, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe he is putting some kind of, land in that trust as well. But I really feel it's something legal to kind of help you once you find that trust.
So just to make sure, he's described the contents of the chest, right in the book. Are you suggesting that in addition to the contents, there's all this further material, or in lieu of the contents?
Well, he has said that there's one item in the chest that he has not talked about and he won't disclose. He's said that. So I'm thinking that it has to do something with something legal, something that he's not willing to discuss for whatever reason. And I agree with Mike. I think it has to have some kind of value, because why would you not talk about it? Why would you not want to talk about it? And maybe it's either legality or maybe it's worth a whole lot of money and he doesn't want us to have to pay taxes on it. Maybe he's thinking about the finder being that Texan doesn't have any money.
He's often said that he's thought about everything, so maybe that's some of the things that he's thought about. Sean Dodson, what do you think?
Well, you know, there's always been a lot of talk about, you know, how is Forrest Fenn going to know? How is he going to know whether it's found? And he's well documented everything that's pretty much in that chest. One of the things that he hasn't really shown us a picture of is the olive jar with the autobiography, and he hasn't really shown us that to give us a picture. So I've thought a lot about, you know, how is the community going to know for sure how this thing is found, or even if Forrest is here or if he's gone. So I think there's an item in the chest that what I like to call is like a proof of life item, that if that person showed just an image of that picture and sent it to Forrest, that he would know without a doubt that it's not photoshopped or something. This is something that only the finder would actually be able to have possession of, not something that could be photoshopped or taken off an image off of, you know, the internet or something. This is something he hasn't spoken of, and it's obvious, but it is like a proof of life thing. It could be something as simple as a letter that he has written to the finder, you know, congratulating them and about the chase, you know, something that he personally wrote to that person that's going to find it, because only one of us can find it. And I've talked a lot about how I feel that the treasure is like that, and the book is like that message in a bottle, where Forrest Fenn, when he threw it out, or you know, left that treasure out there, that you know, that finder was already predetermined. It's like throwing that message or that bottle into the vastness of the ocean, that it was already predetermined that who was going to find that by fate. You know, a letter always arrives at its destination because its destination is wherever it arrives. So whoever found it has kind of been predetermined. And I think that there may be a letter or something in there to that person, or some kind of proof of life item.
Yeah.
And I
like
kind of
a police investigation, right? They don't release all the information, because if you know some of the things that only they know,
very good,
kind
Jason.
of a giveaway, right?
Have you ever read, and I'm going to harken back to Scrapbook 164, where Forrest Fenn gives thanks to Mr. Poe. We all assume that that's Edgar Allan Poe. One of his favorite writings of mine is the Purloined Letter. And in the Purloined Letter, there is a statement taken out of it called, and I'm going to read this verbatim because otherwise I'll probably get it wrong. Yeah. He said, "But this ascendancy," and he's talking about the Purloined Letter, the letter that is supposed to be some information about the king that is not to be known by any. It's very privileged information. "I interpose, would depend upon the robber's knowledge of the loser's knowledge of the robber." So that meaning that the only way that you can prove that is if the person who lost it, or the hider of the treasure chest, would have knowledge of the finder. And I'm getting that confused, but the robber would then know that the person who left the treasure, Forrest, would know that who found it. And there's that proof of life. So I think there's something in there along that lines that is kind of like the Purloined Letter, if you're familiar with that.
Well, and all of that information, I mean, what Mike was speaking to, Shannon, and you as well, it brings up an interesting thought, which is, of course, you know, he's spoken about maybe it could go on for 1,000 years. And obviously with his interest in archaeology, we've all accepted that that's a possibility. And it's kind of driven some of our expectations of how this is all going to go down and what might be in it and things like that. But here's the what if. If there is some kind of a legal setup or situation, and if this is as much marketing campaign as it is search and drive to get out into the woods and everything, then there's always the possibility that he kind of always thought maybe it's going to be done in 75, or while I'm still around to enjoy to see it all wrap up. Yep. Within that time frame, it kind of changes the way you think about some of these ideas, you know. Yeah. Because certainly you could, without a doubt, set up a legal entity and be assured that over a 75-year period, it's going to be in place. It's going to protect the finder, and it'll still have its value.
Right.
It'll still have its value.
Shelley Carney, I see a raised hand. Have you got a question for the panel from the room on the subject?
Well, I've got a bunch of suppositions from the people in the room who want to let you know what they think is in the chest.
Okay, why don't you read some of those suppositions?
Okay, well, let's see. Let me start with William Ortiz. Says there's a diamond ring, possibly Eric's yellow canary diamond. You can see them in the release of the 2015 photo of the chest. I believe it's the last photo with the 2 watches in it. Let's see. We have.
And hasn't he talked about finding a diamond ring when he was younger? I thought there was a story about that at one point in time.
He did.
I'm not aware of the story. Did he, Shelley?
Yeah, I think he has mentioned that.
All right.
Yeah, that may be that ring that's in there. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Czar Sheba says that you'll find it on private land and inside the title to the land. Jimmy Fast says the dead finger necklace is in there.
Nice.
I don't want to know. I quit.
That's it.
Yeah, that's something that.
What did he take it to one of his daughter's birthdays or some special event? Yeah.
Or like 18th birthday or graduation.
I could see him do that.
David Kramer says something to keep the mold and mildew out, so a desiccant of some sort, I'm guessing. Shane McLaughlin, his first arrowhead that he found.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
Gary Sandberg. Oh, no, that's a question. Digital Coin Hut says a key. There's a key inside. JL says something from the Custer battlefield. And Alan K says perhaps one of his military decorations.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And Michael O'Connell says the title to the gold is inside.
I think that's kind of what you were saying, Shannon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, something
a
that's
nice little scroll, you know.
Yeah, opens up and has a signature down at the bottom. And it's certainly, considering to put a shortened version of his autobiography in the olive jar, he could have just as easily had a legal document that is a title with his signature, miniaturized it again, and put it into that wax sealed olive jar. So
how about another poem to a treasure in the Appalachians?
Yeah, exactly. That would be great, huh? Just keep us going for another.
Right.
That's what I need in my life. Something else to distract me from reality.
I need to be closer to my home. So
yeah, well, that would be nice. He said that. He opined after the question about the little girl from India, the little girl in India. He opined. He started the response by saying, "I wish I could have hidden a treasure in the Appalachians as well." So, making it closer to you. So. Okay, Shelley, were there any more questions from the viewers?
There are. Let me just locate that. I know we have one, at least for Shannon. I did see one in there for Calazars.
By the way, while Shelley's doing that, guys, as you know, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you can use the Super Chat icon. It's a $. And if you donate to Super Chat, a couple of things happen. Number one, your your question goes right to the top of the queue and it's highlighted. Shelley will let me know if that happens and we'll answer that question right away. And secondly, we share the proceeds of Super Chat with our panel when we do that. So you're contributing not only to A Gypsy's Kiss, but you're contributing to the panel members as well. So feel free. Did you find one?
Shannon, from Asset Marketing, could the first line, "as I have gone alone in there," be a reference to him going in for cancer treatment or the cockpit of a plane?
I personally don't believe so. I mean, of course, anything's possible in this chase. I feel he's talking about the environment that he's going into out wherever it is in nature. He's going into somewhere, so I think it's something to think about when you're actually out there. Where is he going into of it? But I haven't personally associated with the cockpit or with this cancer treatment. So it's an interesting thought.
Shelley, are you intentionally making your light more romantic,
Oh.
or is the sun just going down in your office there?
Some comments.
It's getting, I feel like we should start some piano music and open a bottle of wine at this point.
Show that cactus.
I'm game.
Okay, she's gonna go turn on the lights. I shouldn't have started. Okay, so any more thoughts before I start wrapping up here, Mike Cowling, on the matter of what's in the chest?
Yeah, now that it's come up that it's possible he could have sealed another document, say in another olive jar or in some way, which had not occurred to me. What if he has something in there that gives the finder ownership to something in his vault because it's too big to fit in the chest?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And if he passes away, it's in his estate that it's held for whoever the eventual finder. That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. Jason, last thoughts?
Well, one thing I've thought about that struck me a lot recently, just kind of going over the book and everything.
Yeah.
And I have nothing against the man. I think he's a really exceptional guy in a lot of ways. But you know what? One thing that struck me that I hadn't really thought about before is he's a bit of a rule breaker. There are some who would see the things that he has done to build his business and the excavations and the items that he's come across that he sold as a little over the edge.
Yeah.
And if you look at his stories, there's a little bit of that, that little Texas kid that just loves to get away with it. Jumping out of class down a rusty chute. There's not many. I mean, some of us have played hooky once or twice here and there. But I've got stories about that you wouldn't believe, Yeah. But literally, like jumping, the concept of like going to her grave and slipping a little nickel under there and things like that. Now I know he's been very clear, like I didn't put in buildings, don't look under graves, don't start digging up people's outhouses. But it really brings up this whole thing about at the very, very end, when you've followed the clues to your spot, are you going to end up in a place where Fenn is kind of saying, is that the brave, right? Are you about to do the thing that some people would look at as, I don't want to use the word illegal, but in a gray area or crossing the boundaries? Had that ever occurred to you? Or
he calls himself the Maverick, right?
Yeah, right.
He likes to push the boundaries. He likes to go right up to the edge.
Here's another one. During wartime, who convinces another flight officer to fly into enemy territory because you saw something out of your aircraft one time that looked pretty damn neat and you wanted to see it before you left?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a beautiful story. And it ended up with a wonderful recognition for those poor French soldiers who would have been forgotten other than that. That's wonderful. But if you really think about it, he asked a buddy to fly him into enemy territory. I mean, did anyone even know? Or did they do it on the sneak?
He got permission from a general, so all he had to tell his buddy is the general said, "You're taking me."
Well, did he get the permission for the final flight?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think that was a combat sortie, though. I think he didn't want his final sortie to be him getting downed. I think the helicopter flight was actually just going to a buddy and saying, "Will you give me a hop over to this waterfall?"
So let me answer your question really quick. There are points in time in almost every recon that I have been on that I have to ask myself, is this beyond, quote, the pale, unquote, right? Would he have expected me to do what I'm about to do, or could he have done this himself? And it's one of the measurements that I always use. Like if I'm standing on the edge of the cliff and thinking about rappelling down the cliff, right, I have to ask myself, did he do this? And the answer is no, he didn't, right? It's not practical. It's not pragmatic. But one of the characteristics in Fenn's personality is that I believe he's naturally mischievous. I think he's a mischievous old man. And I think part of all this whole treasure hunt has a component of him being a trickster, I think he has one, and I think we'll find that in the chest. I'm not sure what he is, but I think he has one last little surprise that if he were alive, he would laugh his ass off. He would think it was really funny. And if he's looking down from heaven, if that's where he gets to, I think he'll laugh his ass off. Like he'll call the other the other old guys over in heaven. He'll say, "You got to watch this. This is going to be a riot."
Yeah.
So
He melted all the gold in the bracelets right in the middle of it.
Nice.
Get that out and get it back to me.
Shannon, last thoughts.
Well, it's kind of funny because he had on you, Toby. He had said something about how he had this special place in his mind from the beginning, and no matter what, he was going to make it work.
Yeah.
So that he is very mischievous. So what exactly did he mean by no matter what, he was going to make it work? So that's
excellent point.
That's definitely going to make me rethink a couple things and think out of the box a little bit. But I think. And you totally got me forgetting what I was going to say about that. But, I definitely think when it comes to the chest and whatever item is in there, I don't think it's in that picture that the comments had mentioned. I think whatever's in that picture, that's what's out there. We know that's in the picture. We know that's in the chest. So I think whatever it is definitely not going to be in that picture. But I think whatever it is, we're definitely going to smile about. Maybe we'll be laughing too.
Yeah.
But personally, I still think it's something to do with some kind of legal issue or to kind of help us along that trail. He spent money on a lawyer for it. So whatever it is, I'm sure it has something to do with that. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sean Dodson, last thoughts?
Yeah, I go back to that purloined letter, and I think that there's something in there that is, like everybody agrees upon, that is going to entice that person to really come forward. He has said that, he believes that the person that's going to find a treasure chest is the same kind of person that's not going to be able to keep it a secret. I don't necessarily believe that, because I think there is a lot of people that do, love the thrill of the chase and not necessarily the fame or the recognition. Or even so much the money, although it can obviously make all of our lives a little bit more simplified, or sometimes more complicated, I guess. Yeah. But I think there's plenty of people out there that and if he thought of everything, he had to think of somebody that wouldn't tell everybody. And I think there's obviously a moral implication to that you obviously want to let the chase community know that it has been found, so nobody else is putting themselves in jeopardy or whatever. But as far as that person coming forward, I think that there is something in there that entices that person, kind of like the purloined letter that I talked about.
Yeah.
Shelley Carney, tell us what's going on in the room last time.
Chat from JL.
Oh, thank you, JL. We appreciate it.
Hello, everybody.
You're good.
Great show, and that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us tonight. So before I close out the show and have everybody say their goodbyes and tell you about themselves, let's give away our Billy Bonnie laser cut. This is my daughter Sean's original artwork, and she's laser cut that into these wood. They're very, you're going to be surprised at the amount of detail she did win it. And then Jason has donated in this case, a horse. Christmas ornament. So here's the trivia question for the night. Billy Bonnie is associated with what in New Mexico was referred to as the Lincoln County War. There were two factions in the Lincoln County War, and each faction had 3 leaders. So what I'd like you to do is take and find the 3 leaders, L-E-A-D-E-R-S, as opposed to L-I-T-E-R-E-S, of each faction, and I want you to write those 6 last names in the our YouTube video where we talk about reconning the John Dunn Bridge. Okay, so let's keep that Western theme there. So I need the 3 last names of each of the factions in the Lincoln County War, and put that on the video in which Shelley and I recon the area around the. I'm sorry, I said Taos Junction. I meant Taos Box Bridge. The John Dunn Bridge. Okay. All right. Let's wrap it up. Mike, where can they find you?
Kyle Lasers on YouTube, kylelasers.com to get your searcher coin. And that's everybody within the U.S. If you live outside the U.S., just email me, kylelasers@gmail.com, and we'll work it out. And thanks, everybody, for the support. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Jason, where can people find you?
At NewMexicoTinWork.com and on Etsy at the Shop Tintero. And I want to thank Shannon for being our guest. It was exceptional. Thanks for everything you share on your blogs. You're doing a great job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sean Dodson.
You can find me at Three Rivers Brewery in about 1 hour. No. You can find me at the flip side of Forrest Fenn's Treasure Hunt. That's my YouTube channel. And I'm also on the forums as Sean New Mexico. And just to let everybody know, I do have my oldest daughter is actually graduating from high school this week. So we have a lot of family coming in and activities going on this weekend. So if I don't get a weekend update out Sunday, I will do a double weekend update on the next week. So let everybody know I do have family. It's a priority this weekend. If I get it out, it may be short. If not, we'll do one next weekend.
Well, Shelley and I used to run a show called New Mexico Film Week that was very similar in format to the one you're producing. I know how much work goes into that program. So I wanted to let you know that we very much appreciate what you're doing, and we very much appreciate how much work you put into it. So
well, and also I've put my email address on that last update, and you know, if there's a lot of people out there that see stuff, and you can email me if I miss something. If you want a hat tip or you want to stay anonymous, let me know. But there's a lot of things I miss. You know, I try and catch everything, but there's something I miss, and you think it should be looked at. You know, let me know, and I'll give you a plug if you want it.
Yeah. Shelley, I noticed we had one last super chat. You're muted.
It was from DeCall.
So talk to me. Let me see. Nope, you're still muted.
DeCall asked if he asked a question. Do you think there could be marked or counterfeit coins that would be obvious if put on the market, or perhaps a very rare coin?
DeCall, I have heard that. I have read that possibility with the idea, of course, that should it come onto the market, it would be noted, and that way Fenn would have another way of knowing that the treasure has been found. All of those things, in my opinion, whatever they are, I would hate to think that he expected that someone's going to try and cash in on a counterfeit coin, because that would get you into trouble, and I don't think that was intent. But I think all that stuff goes away after he passes, because he doesn't need to know. I mean, it's not, and I think what you have to consider is whatever you've decided is Fenn's way of knowing whether or not the treasure has been recovered, other than the finder of the treasure informing him, whether anonymously or not. I think that was the expectation. I was at Moby Dickens where the whole bracelet thing came up, and it struck me as I was listening to him say what he was saying that he kind of realized there was no way for him to know if the finder didn't inform him for the treasure to be found. And I think it was his way of saying, I'd like to have this bracelet back, so I know the treasure has been found. That phrase itself was in parentheses. So, but the idea, I think he is mischievous. And I was going to say earlier that I think in order to find this treasure, in my opinion, you have to be as mischievous a thinker as Fenn was. And I think that's going to help you. So, but
look for a 33 double eagle in there.
Yeah, exactly. That would be great. Huh?
That would be way worth it.
And last but not least, Shannon, tell us about where people can find you.
All right. Well, first thing, Toby, Shelley, thank you so much for having me as your guest tonight. And then for everybody on the panel and in the community, thank you so much for your support. I'm kind of blown away. I'm way over 100 subscribers, which still blows my mind. And I can't believe it. So thank you guys so much for your feedback, your comments, your support. It's been amazing. You can again find me on YouTube at The Odious Soul, also odioussoul.com. That's where you can find all my social media links and kind of figure out where I am in the interweb universe. So thanks again for everything. You guys have been amazing. Oh, and then on my website too, there's a contact me page that takes you right to my email. So that's kind of like the easiest way to email me is through my website. So again, thank you all so much.
Our pleasure. Thank you for being our guest tonight. We really enjoyed your company, and I think our viewers found it entertaining, informative, and educational. So thanks for joining us today. So don't forget, first person that answers the trivia question on the video on that I gave you, I'll ask you to share. I'll let you know whether or not you're the winner, and then ask you to share your shipping address. I'd appreciate it if people who have already won in the past, we're going to eliminate you from the competition and give it to a new winner. So thank you very much, our audience, for joining us tonight. Thank you very much to our moderators who make our chat rooms a safe place to be. and we really appreciate their effort. Thank you to each of our panel members, Mike Cowling, Jason Eunice, and Sean Dodson, for being here tonight. You will see us again next Wednesday with a new program and a new guest. Thank you, our guest tonight, Shannon Utz, and of course, thank you, my wonderful partner in business, Shelley Carney, for being our producer and doing such a good job. We will see you tomorrow. Our show is the book club. We'll be talking about chapter 12. Chapter 12 is my brother Skippy, or Skippy being Skippy. Yeah, my brother being Skippy. So Shelley's got her research all ready for it, so we'll talk about that tomorrow. And if you join us tomorrow, we'll be giving away one of Aunt Lucy's New Mexico cookbooks. So please join us. We look forward to the conversation. There we are. Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Here we go to outro.